Happening now, an update on the criminal case prosecuting a Jamestown man accused of killing two people, including a teen, in separate crashes nearly a year apart. And the latest on a drug raid in Dunkirk that resulted in 2 arrests. Plus, after a months-long delay, lawmakers have passed New York State's budget. We break down what's in the spending plan.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, cocaine, fentanyl, and drug packaging material are among evidence seized by law enforcement in northern Chautauqua County during a Tuesday drug raid. Around 10 in the morning, County Sheriff narcotics investigators executed a search warrant at 131 Lakeshore Drive East in the lower apartment there in Dunkirk. Inside the residence, around 12 grams of cocaine, 38 grams of crack cocaine, 30 grams of fentanyl, drug packaging material, scales, and $642 in cash was discovered. 2 people have since been arrested. Ronnie Walker and Kevin Hunt. They face several counts of criminal possession of a controlled substance and criminally using drug paraphernalia. The community is asked to report suspicious or narcotics-related activity within their neighborhood to the Chautauqua County Sheriff's tip line. That number is 716-664-2420. Town of Ellicott police have made an arrest connected to a residential burglary in the village of Falconer, where the suspect reportedly got into the home via an unlocked doggy door. On Sunday night around 11 o'clock, officers responded to a past tense break-in at an undisclosed residential address. An investigation recovered that Kimberly Parquette was spotted allegedly leaving the resident's home via a rear doggy door earlier in the week. The homeowner, police say, later discovered money, a flower pot, and a TV remote were all missing. The 55-year-old has since been arrested and issued an appearance ticket for burglary and petty larceny for Town of Ellicott Court. The man accused of causing 2 separate fatal crashes less than a year apart is headed to trial after rejecting a plea deal on Tuesday. Bronson Rasmussen joins us live from the newsroom today with more on this criminal case. Bronson?
Justin, Randall Rolson faces multiple charges for allegedly running a stop sign, causing an accident that killed 71-year-old Linda Kramer in the town of Arkwright, less than a year after allegedly hitting and killing 15-year-old Jamestown teen Alexis Hugan with his 18-wheeler. In addition to the fatal crashes, Rolson is accused of owning 3 illegal handguns. The deal would have had Rolson plead guilty to both collisions and admit to being under the influence of drugs.
We wanted him to receive the maximum on that, and those 2 sentences would run consecutive to one another. In exchange for those pleas, we were then going to roll in the gun case so that he wouldn't have any exposure to that.
Rolson's attorney says that while he cannot disclose his recommendation to his client, he made his own decision.
It's not up to us to determine whether or not that's that's something that we're willing to take. That's ultimately the decision of the client, and it's one of the most fundamental rights in our criminal justice system.
What worries the public defender the most about going to trial is the probable tainted jury.
He's supposed to be presumed innocent. It's a constitutional right. And every time the district attorney takes this case or splashes it on the front pages or in the news, it takes away that presumption of innocence.
Since Rolson did not take the plea, the district attorney says no more deals are on the table.
As a result, we don't want to play with this anymore. We're prepared to go forward. We withdrew the offer, and the first case on the calendar is the gun case, which is scheduled for June 12th.
Now, if Rolson had accepted the plea deal, he would have faced a sentence of between 13 and 25 years in prison. But now he will face 3 separate criminal trials this summer. Now, Rolson is currently being held at the Chautauqua County Jail without bail. Reporting live in the newsroom, Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
Bronson, thank you for that update. A forum for the public to learn more about this year's Board of Education candidates in Jamestown will take place next week. On Thursday, May 11th at 6 o'clock in the boardroom at Jamestown Public Schools Administration Building on Martin Road, the 4 candidates on the ballot for 3 school board seats will discuss their priorities. Now on the ballot this year is Paul Abbott, Christine Schnars, John Penabianco, and Melissa Paternity. Abbott and Schnars are incumbents on the board, with Abbott serving as board president. Penabianco and Paternity, they're both newcomers vying for voter support. Now, the annual school board budget and vote will be held on Tuesday, May 16th. Polls are open from noon until 9 o'clock. Registered voters can cast their ballot at Lincoln Elementary School, Jefferson Middle School, or Washington Middle School. Well, now let's switch gears and get a first check of our weather forecast today. That's where we find Chief Weather Forecaster Andrew Stevenson. And Andrew, I see some snow showers coming down behind you there in Mayville.
Yeah, that's not quite live right now. This was actually from this morning. About a couple hours ago when it was snowing out there. I did just check the camera a couple minutes ago. It has stopped snowing out there, but it is still cloudy and rainy. So yeah, we're like a couple days into May and we're still dealing with this snow. I'll have some snow history coming up in the full forecast, so stay tuned for that. Right now on First Defense Doppler radar, this is live right now. We do have some rain showers across the region. Yes, even mixing with some wet snow showers at times, but the good news is we have only one more day to deal with this today, and then better weather is on the way. The almanac for today, we made it to a high of 41 degrees yesterday, which is still well below our average. The low for yesterday was 33 degrees, and the record high for today was 86, set back in 1944. The record low of 25, set back in 1981. So here's the forecast for the rest of the afternoon. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing that's been the past few days. We'll have mainly cloudy skies, occasional rain showers at times. We may mix with wet snowflakes on the highest hilltops. Another chilly day out there with a northwest wind of 5 to 10 miles per hour. Highs once again only in the low to mid 40s. But there is some good news on the way, and I'll tell you about that coming up in the full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, sir. As WNY News Now continues, New York State's fiscal plan finally passes following a month's delay. Our New York Capitol correspondent has an update from Albany. And later, we hear from nurses and advocates seeking safety enhancements in hospitals. Stay with us. WNY News Now. We'll be right back.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
You know, hunting
Caitlin
on
Armstrong
private land has been quite the experience.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
New York State Senate and Assembly have finally passed a budget for the next fiscal year after a month delay for negotiations. Our New York State Capitol correspondent Elise Klein has more from Albany.
Around 11 p.m. last night, the Senate and the Assembly officially passed the final state budget plan, coming in at $229 billion. And this budget is passed 1 month after its original deadline. And this budget throughout the voting process had varying support from lawmakers across the aisle in both chambers. And some Republican lawmakers feel this budget this year was challenging.
So they failed in the two areas that most people have said in the polls and the questions that they have been asked. Why do you leave New York State? We're not affordable in this state, and they don't feel secure in this state.
While some Democratic lawmakers across the aisle say the budget this year is good overall.
Making certain that their neighborhoods are safe, that folks are getting the treatment they deserve, and that public safety is an issue that Albany is considering carefully, which is, I think, what we did in this budget.
Now that budget has officially passed, lawmakers have about a month left of legislative session. Back to you in the studio.
Elise, thank you. Now, earlier in the evening yesterday, lawmakers in the Senate and Assembly, they passed the Education, Labor, and Family Assistance Bill. This year's Big Ugly, as it's called. One big bill where several continuous issues are packed together. Now, this year, some of those issues included bail reform and electrifying buildings here in New York State. Well, on Tuesday, Governor Kathy Hochul signed a legislative package intending to expand access to reproductive health care. The package includes two bills, one to expand access to hormonal contraception by making it available over the counter at pharmacies, and another to provide access to medication abortion on SUNY and CUNY campuses.
We can't let the extremists on the other side know that we're stopping. We must meet this moment with tenacity and the leadership that's required.
The governor also recently announced $1.68 million in grants through the state's Securing Reproductive Health Centers program, which helps ensure access to reproductive health and abortion services statewide. This funding is part of the governor's commitment last year of $35 million for reproductive health care providers. An estimated 460,000 children go missing each year in the United States. Tuesday in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, state senators discussed legislation to reunite missing children with their families. Senate Bill 460, or the Child Reunification Act, would provide free child identification kits to parents so they can work with law enforcement to help find a missing child. The kits would include inkless fingerprinting materials, DNA collection swabs, and other information to help identify a child in case of emergency. Distributed by school districts across the state, students in first grade at no cost would qualify for this program. Lawmakers say the legislation is long overdue and extremely important in today's society.
Unfortunately, times have changed. The human trafficking rates are increasing dramatically. People harming our children are increasing dramatically.
The personal information collected in the kits would only be held by parents and would not be entered into a database. The bill was approved by the Senate Education Committee today and will now head to the Senate floor for a vote. 32 other states have passed similar legislation. Well, dozens of nurses and advocates, they're rallying for the Patient Safety Act. Brendan Scanlon hears from those who are for and against the measure.
Safe staffing! Now!
Today in Harrisburg, nurses and advocates rallied to address an ongoing crisis.
They felt overworked, they felt stressed, they felt unsafe in their working environments, they didn't trust their administrators, and they're like, I can't do this, I'm leaving.
Eileen Kelly is a former nurse. She, like many others, could not continue working in what she calls unsafe conditions, both for nurses and their patients.
We were responsible for way too many patients than any one nurse could safely manage. We don't have have a shortage of nurses, but we do have a shortage of nurses that are willing to work in unsafe conditions.
Kelly believes the Patient Safety Act is the solution.
This will save lives, save money, and be the answer to the workforce crisis we have right now in healthcare with nurses.
But opponents are concerned about the mandated ratio and the thousands of dollars in penalties for failure to comply.
Unfortunately, what this bill would do is mandate a certain ratio of nurses in a hospital.
Representative Kathy Rapp says it poses a threat to many hospitals that might not be able to meet the ratio, especially in rural areas.
I want more nurses in our hospitals, but I don't want to see our hospitals fined to the point where they have to close beds and possibly close their door.
In Harrisburg, Brendan Scanlon reporting.
Brendan, thank you. Coming up next, a look at the new measures to enhance active duty troops' presence at our southern border. Film and TV writers, they're on strike, bringing production of many shows to a halt. But first, when we return, Andrew has a full look at our weather forecast as we have these up and down temps from snow to rain to back to snow in the future.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Have you ever wanted to live out your dreams? Hunt, fish, in all corners of the earth? Well, now's your chance. Follow Primitive Patriot Outdoors as we live out our dreams and show you how to live out yours through outdoor adventures. From Western New York to Africa to all corners of the earth, follow us on this adventure. It's an experience you've never seen before. Lead and Lures, Roku TV, channel 716.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer. She's on the honor roll. She's just not the type.
No way.
No way. No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Currently in downtown Jamestown, we got some rain showers falling out there. The current temperature is 39 degrees with a northwest wind of 9 miles per hour and a wind chill of 33. Well, let's talk about some snow. I have some trivia questions for you. Justin, would you like to join in?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yes.
First question is, have we had measurable snow in Jamestown during the month of May?
Okay. Boy, that's a good one. In May. I think so. Yes. Okay.
That's the answer. All right. Next question is, how much was it, and what is the record year for it?
Okay, so it's probably less than a foot. That would make sense. So I'm gonna say probably like, I don't know, like a couple inches, like two. Let's do 2.5 inches, and then you ask the year.
Year. I'll give you a little. The record started being kept in 1885.
Okay,
so
yeah, that's of no help. That's a long time ago. Probably like, I don't know, 1915.
Well, the record is 5 inches of snow.
Oh, I was
set
close!
back in 1908. So yeah, we've had snow in May, and then it leads me into the next question.
Okay.
Is true or false? Have we seen measurable snow in Jamestown during all 12 months of the year? That includes June, July, and August.
No. No,
You sure
that's
about
false.
that? It's actually true. We have at the Jamestown airport, well, maybe not the airport, but in Jamestown, we have seen measurable snow, at least a trace of snow during the months of June, July, and August. And I think June, the last time that happened was like 1946. So it has got snow in Jamestown all months of the year. So I thought that was pretty interesting when I was looking back on the records for.
Yeah, I almost like August. They've seen snow.
And
Like
we've seen a trace of snow in Jamestown. Nothing more than a trace, but a trace is still measurable.
Boy, that must not have been a fun summer.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again. I don't think anyone wants to see snow, especially when it comes to my birthdays and all, because I don't want to see snow. All right, moving on now. Let's talk about what's happening across the Northeast. These past few days, we've been stuck under a low-pressure system that's kind of just slowly moved across the region. Now it's centered over upstate New York. So that it is moving out of the area, but at least one more day we'll be stuck in this counterclockwise flow of rain and snow showers. So let's time it out on future scan through the rest of the afternoon out there. Rain showers may mix with some wet snow showers in the highest elevations, but mainly it will be all rain, and that will continue into the night tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, less rain as that system moves farther off to the east. Mostly cloudy skies with maybe a sprinkle or two. We might actually start to see some sunshine break through those clouds later in the afternoon, and we should go partly mostly cloudy skies overnight tomorrow and into the day on Friday. High pressure begins to build in on Friday, and we should go partly to mostly sunny skies on Friday. Now let's talk about the weekend, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful weekend out there. High pressure building in across the region, and yeah, temperatures will make it to the mid to upper 60s for both Saturday and Sunday. Mostly sunny skies each day, so we just have a couple more days to get through, and the weekend is looking good. And now here's the extended forecast powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. Temperatures still chilly today and tomorrow, near 60 on Friday, again mid 60s on Saturday and Sunday, and then we'll go in the lower 70s early next week. Dry weather will be in place with our next best chance for showers after the weekend not coming until Tuesday.
All right, get rid of that snow. Good to see it, Andrew. Thank you very much. Well, let's get some headlines now from around the nation. In the Biden administration, they're preparing for the end of Title 42 come next week. The military plans to send 1,500 active duty troops to the southern border ahead of the end of that COVID area policy. Title 42 allows authorities to turn away certain migrants at the border. Sources say the troops will be there to support the Department of Homeland Security for 90 days. They will serve in administrative roles only, and they won't work with law enforcement. As of Tuesday, some 22,000 migrants were in CBP custody in recent days. About 7,000 migrants have tried to cross the U.S. southern border daily. Officials expect that number to rise in the coming weeks. Well, the man accused of a fatal shooting rampage that killed 5 people in Texas is scheduled to appear in front of a county court judge today. Now, according to law enforcement sources involved in the investigation. This comes after the suspect had been at large for 4 days, raising fears for many residents in the area. John Lawrence has more.
Tension has been hovering over Cleveland, Texas like fog since Friday.
It's been very scary, no sleep.
But on Tuesday night, the manhunt for Francisco Oropeza ended after he was arrested and charged with 5 counts of murder. Authorities say Oropeza was uninjured and taken into custody without incident.
Everybody played a very, very integral part in the arrest and capture of this coward, and he has been magistrated. He now will be taken to my jail and where his new residence will be.
Authorities say the 38-year-old was found in a house in Cut and Shoot, Texas, just under 20 miles away from the crime scene.
The tip for the suspect's location came in through the FBI's tip line, and we just want to thank the person who had the courage and bravery to call in the suspect's location.
Oropeza is accused of fatally shooting 5 people, including a 9-year-old boy and his mother. Officials say the gunfire began shortly after neighbors had asked Oropeza to stop shooting his rifle in front of his house.
First and foremost, the victims and their families are in the forefront of our minds, and we're extremely delighted that the suspect was captured.
Authorities say they are now trying to determine if anyone helped Oropeza hide in the days after the shooting. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Hollywood writers have only been on strike for less than a day, and the entertainment industry is already feeling impacts. Members of the Writers Guild of America hit the picket line Tuesday, a day after the union could not reach a contract deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. Writers are fighting for changes to staffing, compensation, and residuals as the entertainment industry shifts towards streaming services. But major studios have rejected many of the demands. The strike could immediately stop the production of several movies and TV shows. Tuesday, NBC's Saturday Night Live announced it will begin airing repeat episodes because of it. Late-night shows will reportedly be doing the same. Now, the Writers Guild of America has more than 11,000 members. This is the first strike since 2007. Well, coming up next, a popular 80s and 90s show. It's back in the national spotlight. We go behind the scenes of a new American Gladiators documentary and its connection to our region.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Right here, baby. Look. Uma. ¿Cuántos años tienes?
Noah. Something more than a birthday is happening here. Once you can see it, you can help. The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Caitlin Armstrong.
Has been quite the experience.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
You're watching Now, your source for breaking news.
A popular 80s and 90s show is back in the national spotlight at a cinema in Toronto. The release of a two-part American Gladiators documentary premiered last night. Directed by 30 for 30 ESPN film director Ben Berman, the doc takes us from humble beginnings in nearby Erie, PA to international stardom. Erie News Now's Mike Ruzzi has more.
Challenging, and we're also dealing with a bunch.
We had a chance to visit with director Ben Berman and co-director Kirk Johnson prior to the showing in Toronto, and they spent years working on this project.
It was a big undertaking. The scale of the project is vast. You know, it's such a massive story for the country, for the world, and for Erie.
We're also dealing with a bunch of people that have, this is their lives, and they have a lot riding on this, a lot of Erie people that we want to get the story right, a lot of people that think the story hasn't been told right.
Dan Carr's brother Rick traveled to Toronto for the documentary, and he remembers how things unfolded 40 years ago in Erie.
He got the idea. He was an iron worker here in Erie, and he used to hold iron worker picnics, and he used to hold the games there. But the whole concept he came up with was to get 8 to 10 of the toughest guys in Erie. And he named it American Gladiator Olympics, which they had at Tech Memorial, sold out, over 4,000 people there.
Co-creator Dan Carr resides in Florida, not far from Orlando, and will visit Erie later this month for a local gathering of the documentary.
That was the draw of it, was the average man that's not an NFL player, or he's not on the NBA or anything like that.
And hopefully this will either bring closure to people or allow people to celebrate the good, the bad, the ups and downs.
Erie has been great. We've met so many amazing people, and everybody's they're just tough guys. Everyone's tough guys.
But the interesting thing that stands out to me is they're tough guys.
Mike Ruzzi, Erie News Now.
Mike, thank you. Certainly there are a lot of tough people around our region, and it's cool to see a beginning like that for a show expand to be something in the national spotlight.
Good local connection, too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's going to do it for us. We'll leave you with this live look over our studio cam on 3rd Street. Have a great day.